Alright, hi guys, and welcome to Simple Spirituality PH. And before we dive into today's video, I would like to invite everyone who would like to receive notifications on my new videos to please hit the subscribe button over there. If you like this video later on, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or suggestions you want to say hey, just comment down below. And if you would like your very own tarot reading or Reiki healing session with me, online for now of course, we'll hear the details. Alrighty, so today will be an interesting video. It's going to be a cooking video. I love to cook, and I wanted to showcase some of my recipes. Actually, one of my friends, Kyle, his name's Kyle, shout out to Kyle, he told me that maybe I should try out a couple of cooking videos, and so here we are. And I decided to share some of my recipes with you and do a little kind of spiritual rambling as I'm doing my recipes with you as I'm cooking. So today we're going to cook this. This is called patola. I'll leave the English name here, but today we're just going to be using a patola, some garlic, tomatoes, and an onion. And I like to cook as I go along the way. And so cooking is really one of my passions. In fact, I love it so much that I took a short course on it. I took a leave off of work, 1 week off of work, to learn how to do, to learn how to cook and just kind of like handle the kitchen much better. It was a very short course, and it was very insightful because it taught me a lot of techniques and it taught me a lot of the basics of cooking. If I had known that I loved to cook way back then, I would have become a chef. I would have studied culinary in college, university. But I discovered this late in the game. But as I always say, the only thing constant is change. And so every moment carries with it the potential for you to have your desire come to life, right? And for me, this is what happens whenever I cook. This is my desire coming to life. Every time I cook, something is happening. Every time I cook, one of my manifestations is happening. So as you can see, I'm just doing a rough chop here. And a lot of people like to do like, like set them up in a certain angle. I do that if I need a specific kind of chop. But if it's a rough chop, I just chop them any other way. And so set it aside, and we'll take an onion, a red onion. This is probably small in a lot of countries, but here in the Philippines, this is already kind of a big onion. So take them off like that. One of the things that I learned, one of the most essential things that I learned in that short course was to have this kind of bin where you keep all the trimmings in, so you can just easily toss them there, put it in your pile for, what do you call this, for put it in your pile as plant food. And that's one of the joys of cooking, I think. One of the things that connects me to my spirituality is cooking, because it does more than one thing. First of all, of course, it allows me to eat and eat anything I want, because I can make anything I want, right? But secondly, with all of the things, with all of the, what do you call this, skins and all of that stuff, I can connect to the earth better when I reuse them for plant food. And so what I'm doing here is just roughly chopping them as well. I don't want it to be too small, but I don't want them to be too big either. So like just a general chop. I want a little bit of crunch. I want a little bit of like inconsistent chopped things rather. So let's set that aside. as well. You know that I'm always big about finding your passion and finding the joy that you have and really going to your happy place. For me, that's actually cooking. Cooking is my happy place. And I realized I should have done the tomatoes earlier because they're going to taste like onion, but that's fine. So for me, particularly, this is my happy place. And my sacral chakra is the most open chakra that I have. And so I always need to be creating something from nothing all the time. And that includes cooking. So if you find yourself becoming kind of restless, becoming very, what do you call this? Yeah, restless, or maybe even bored, why don't you try cooking? Because it's literally creating something out of nothing, out of thin air, out of ingredients. You just create a couple of things and you'll find that you'll feel very fulfilled. I'm leaving the seeds in because I want that tartness. And you'll find yourself being very fulfilled, having created something from once there was none. And that's a very good idea for people who feel stuck. And not just for people who have a very open sacral chakra, but for people who feel stuck as well. If you're wondering what you can do differently, why not try a new recipe? Why not try to create something without a recipe, you know? Why not try to create something different with your knife? Something, a new dish with your knife, rather. So everything goes there. You can see how convenient that is. And now for this guy. Ooh, tough fella. All right. I don't know how I want to cut this guy. Right. Just cut this round as well. So yeah, for everyone who has a very open sacral chakra, I suggest for you to try cooking. It'll allow you to express yourself in ways that you feel that you've been stuck in, especially if you're feeling kind of like cabin fever. A lot of cabin fever is because of our sacral chakra really being open, really being overactive and feeling all the feelings that we are feeling, and not having an outlet for them, literally an outlet, you know. So again, if you are feeling that kind of stuck feeling, if you feel like you are just in a zone of not being inspired, or you feel like you want a change of scenery, try cooking. It is very therapeutic, and I know I'm getting a lot of the flesh in there, but that's fine. But yes, it's going to help you in ways that you have never dreamed of. And definitely you're going to come out victorious because you'll have a new dish to enjoy with your family, or even just for yourself. Now, cooking is very grounding. It deals, especially if you're dealing with fire kinds of cooking, or very heat-filled kind of cooking, because it's very close to the ground, right? And whenever you're concentrated with stuff like this, with stuff that is close to the ground, stuff that allows you to kind of like stay to the ground, you are actually grounding yourself. So that's another thing. If you ever feel like you are too way up there, you are swamped in your problems, you feel like you don't have anything to hold you down, to anchor you down, try cooking as well. This is just one of the things that can keep you grounded. So as you can see, I'm just cutting through it. And This is a particularly soft one. I think it's about to go bad, so I'm trying to save as much of it, but I'm seeing that a lot of it is actually very soft already. So as you can see, it's supposed to be still that kind of tender. And this is a vegetable that goes gooey. If you know what okra is, it has that kind of texture. So I'm just cutting them in rounds. Some people like to cut them diagonally. Let's do some diagonal cuts like this, because they have a pretty cross section. Let me just show you. Here we go. And it's in preparations like this that allows you to really kind of ground yourself. It's in having this kind of reverence for the food and this kind of preparation that will really allow you to be more close to yourself. This is too big. Let me just cut that carefully. There are other bigger rounds like this. All right, now it's time to get a pan and simply what we call here gisa. We kind of like toss them around and saute them. Let me just go get a pan. Oh. All right, here is my pan. Let's adjust accordingly. There we go. There, so I hope you guys can see that. So I won't be using actual meat for this, but I will be using a broth cube. Over here in the Philippines, it's pretty popular to use broth cubes for flavor. Let me just heat this up real nice. Low heat, so you can see, even lower than that. There we go. Today I'm feeling like a mix of sesame oil and neutral oil. So I have neutral oil here. Yep, it's getting there. Just a little bit of that neutral oil. And a little bit of that sesame oil for flavor. And kind of coat that all over, even while it's not hot yet. And let me just get something to toss it with. Alrighty. Now I know that for a lot of people, this is a big question. Being spiritual, do I have to eat just vegetables? That's the question I get every day. And the answer is not really, but I know I've said this in the past, that whatever you eat, you'll be able to feel the energy of it. So let's say, for example, you eat meat that was raised very poorly, meat that was abused, you know, chickens or pork or even beef that have been raised in harsh environments. They were killed unfairly. You'll be able to feel that energy. Now plants, they don't have that kind of signature energy of pain. They don't have that much signature energy of pain, especially if they grow wildly. And so when you want to buy meat, you want to be careful about how it was raised, if it was raised ethically, if it was butchered ethically, because that's the reality of a meat eater, right? You do have to butcher animals in order for you to get your protein, in order for you to to have that protein. But no, in a nutshell, when a spiritual person like me, I don't have to eat vegetables all the time. I do like it though, because it does wonders for my skin, and it's good for you, basically. I have a belief that vegetables are good for me, so that is what's going to play out. There we go. Here in the Philippines, it's very different when we saute. We usually put our garlic first, and then we put our onions. There we go. All them onions all over there having a party. And even with my water on low, you can still hear the kind of sizzle. It sounds like it's on high. And now comes the vigorous part of kind of making sure that they don't burn. I don't normally like to write my recipes, but I do like to write the ingredients because I love to change them all the time. But I do have standards. Like, for example, can make a mean kimchi soup. I can make a mean steamed lasagna, which I can show you guys as well. Alright, now as you can see, everything started to become brown and pretty. And go the tomato. Just keep stirring so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And remember, our heat is on low, but it sounds like it's on high. If this happens, just make sure that all of your ingredients don't stick to the bottom. So I'm going to toss this around for a little bit more, and then add water to it. Just a little bit of water to it. Making sure that my ingredients don't stick to the bottom of the pan as much as possible. Alright, now I think we can add a little bit of warm water. Hear that lovely sizzle. That beautiful sound. And I'm going to use half of my broth cube first. I want to see how that fares nicely. Now, one thing that I like to do particularly is I like to season at the very early stages, except of course if it's soup, where you need to season at the end, where it's a liquid, where you need to season at the end. But if it's something like this, I like to season it quite strongly at first, so that it'll be the only seasoning, or the only kind of application of seasoning that you're going to do for the entire dish. But of course you can do whatever you want. Put some freshly ground pepper on it, a lot of it. Put a little bit of turmeric, anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is good for you for anti-inflammatory purposes. And perhaps one time I can show you guys how I make my squash soup with turmeric. It turns it into a brilliant yellow, beautiful, brilliant yellow. I usually smell it, and I gauge from the smell what it needs, what else it needs. Now it's time for the patola. Oh, and I think a little bit more water. Bit more water to kind of make a sauce. So look at that sizzle. Now this is going to become sticky. Patola is very sticky. And it will become translucent as it cooks along. So it's very good for stews, for gumbos. Just like okra. If you have ever eaten an okra, that's what the texture is like. It becomes like that. So at this point, I can actually raise the temperature. Now, a lot of people ask me if I really do enjoy cooking, or is it something that I do just to, you know, pass the time? Is it something that I do, you know, a lot of people ask me basically if cooking also is one of my passions, and quite obviously it is. But other than that, I think there's something very sacred about cooking. Again, my sacral, one of my most open chakras is the sacral chakra, or actually the most open chakra for me is the sacral chakra. And because of that, I need to feel like I'm creating something all the time, something from nothing. And not just that, I need to be creating something from nothing that satisfies my personal taste, that satisfies me, that satisfies my creation bone, my creativity bone, so to speak. And I find that cooking does that. There's something very sacred about it for me. And I think for a lot of people as well, there's something sacred about eating as well. It is nourishing your body. And when we talk about spirituality, nourishing the body is just as important as nourishing your mind and your soul. So you want to have that kind of equilibrium for everything. You want to watch what you're putting in your body. You want to watch what you're putting in your mind. You want to watch what you're putting in your soul. It's very important. And so, as you can see, this guy's actually done already. Let me show you what they look like. This guy. They turn beautifully transparent and green when they're cooked. Oh, let me just try and get one. Come on. And just to show you how slimy it is. Whew. All right. Still haven't gotten one. Okay, let's try another one. They are that slimy that they do not want to get on the spoon. And this is what they look like when they're done. They are transparent. As you can see, this has a different color from, let's say, for example, this guy is much thicker. This guy's already done. And they are starting to get out that kind of like thickness, as you can see. It's going to be hot, but there. Tasty. You can see that there is a line that I've made with my hand, but it's still coating the spoon. And this is actually done. And this is the dish. So this is perfect over rice, which I'm going to make actually right after this. But this is actually done. I can turn off the heat on this one. And that's it. So that is patola, ginisang patola with garlic, onion, and tomatoes and turmeric. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try this dish. It's very easy. It's very good on rice. You could have it on bread, some pita, or maybe if you have farro, if you have adlai or quinoa, that would be good too, because it's really saucy. You'll need something to capture the sauce of it all here. And yeah, so that's it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or suggestions you want to say hey, just comment down below. If you would like to receive notifications on my new videos, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you would like your very own tarot reading or Reiki healing session with me, online for now, of course, here are the details. And I will see you guys next time. Yes, I'm going to be making more cooking videos, so stay tuned. Stay happy, stay healthy, and literally, ciao for now.